These gangsters exhibit an unshakable demeanor, unfazed by any obstacle in their path. They traverse the streets in the swiftest and most luxurious BMWs and Audis, adorned in stylish attire and sunglasses. Yet beneath their facade of opulence lies a darker truth. They stand accused of orchestrating 8 highly violent and meticulously planned robberies across 3 countries, alongside a catalogue of over 40 lesser offences. The Scarface Gang, as they're known, embodies ruthlessness and invincibility, their moniker drawn from one of the most iconic gangster films in history. Emerging onto the radar of Belgian law enforcement in early 2011, the Scarface Gang operated in various configurations. At times, their crimes involved only 2 members, while in other instances, as many as 6 participated. Notably, the gang boasted a female member who frequently joined in their illicit activities. While primarily centered in Belgium, they displayed no reluctance to expand their criminal reach into neighboring countries like the Netherlands and France. Initially, their criminal activities were minor and inconsequential, but within a span of less than half a year, they escalated to perpetrating some of the most significant and violent crimes witnessed in the region. It all commenced on February 16, 2011, in Zolt, Belgium, when a rare BMW M5 boasting over 500 horsepower was listed for sale. Within days, 2 individuals arrived to inspect the car, arriving in their Volkswagen Golf. As the owner provided a tour of the vehicle, one of the men initiated negotiations over the price. Suddenly, he insisted on verifying the chassis number, prompting the owner to open the bonnet, only to feel the cold touch of a weapon against his back. Despite his attempt to resist, the owner, fearing for his life, relinquished the keys. The 2 perpetrators swiftly fled in the BMW M5 after setting their Volkswagen Golf ablaze, marking the inception of a series of events yet to unfold. Merely 3 days later, the BMW resurfaced in Wallonia, Belgium. At approximately 6:15 in the evening, the BMW pulled up aggressively in front of a gas station. 2 armed and masked individuals emerged, storming into the establishment. While one subdued the employees, the other looted the cash registers. With their task completed, they fled the scene in their getaway vehicle, the BMW, continuing their spree. The spoils from their previous robbery proved meager, hardly worth the risk. Less than a day later, the BMW resurfaced, this time at another gas station. Instead of another heist, they simply filled their tank and sped off without settling the bill, perhaps indicating the paltry gains from their prior exploits. Their indifference extended to basic expenses like fuel.
PlayStation, Nintendo.
2 days later, on February 22nd, the gang geared up for another operation, this time in Leder, Belgium, with a group of 5, including a female member. The woman approached a jeweler's door, appearing unassuming, but as it opened, the situation turned dire. 2 armed and masked men barged in, threatening the jeweler. Despite the jeweler's resistance, including striking the robbers with a chair, the presence of his dog forced the assailants to retreat empty-handed, fleeing in the BMW towards Brussels. After a brief hiatus of 6 days, the gang redirected their focus to a post office in Wallonie, Belgium. With the BMW's blue siren flashing, they accelerated down the street, attempting to break the window with rocks proven futile, leading one member to discharge their weapon thrice at the window, also without success. In less than a minute, they aborted the mission and sped away. The endeavor had failed. For 2 weeks, the streets remained eerily quiet, devoid of the Scarface Gang's trademark chaos. Police did a lot of investigation on the previous crimes, but thus far, they had absolutely no clue who was committing these crimes. On March 13th, once again behind the wheel of the BMW, the Scarface Gang directed their course towards a hotel in Mechelen, Belgium. 2 armed and masked individuals swiftly exited the vehicle. making a beeline for the hotel's main entrance. They demanded access to the safe, unaware that it operated on a time lock, thwarting their attempts to secure its contents. Faced with this setback, they hastily plundered the cash register at the front desk before hastily departing, yet again with minimal spoils. One might wonder, are these individuals merely inexperienced or simply plagued by ill fortune? Meanwhile, as law enforcement continued probing the gang's prior escapades, the criminals diligently rotated the license plates on their car in an effort to evade detection. However, the repeated use of the BMW was attracting unwanted attention. Just 3 days later, on March 16th, the gang embarked on another heist, once again targeting a jeweler. Accompanied by their full contingent of 5, a man and a woman approached the store and rang the bell. The unsuspecting victim later recounted to the police that he opened the door due to their seemingly ordinary appearance, failing to detect any hint of suspicion. Yet, as the door swung open, 2 additional men swiftly stormed in, ransacking the display cabinets. They immobilized the owner by binding his legs and arms before making off with a quantity of jewelry. Once again, the howl fell short of expectations, prompting the gang to reconsider their tactics. They had committed all these crimes, but they had yet to hit big. It was quiet for 2 weeks, and then it finally happened. On April 4th, in Rotterdam, the Netherlands, the SCARFACE gang's long-awaited opportunity finally arises. A meticulously planned raid on a secure cash depot, a major money transport company. With precision and expertise, they breach the entrance using heavy explosives, causing a commotion that sends employees scrambling for safety. Tragically, 2 employees are struck by gunfire as they attempt to flee, while the others quickly alert the authorities. Within moments, the gang seizes control of the facility, swiftly loading vast sums of cash into their waiting vehicles, including the BMW M5 and an Audi RS6. With their loot secured, they make a swift getaway, racing back to Belgium at breakneck speeds. The entire operation unfolds so rapidly that law enforcement is unable to respond in time, leaving the gang to vanish without a trace. The haul from this heist is substantial, amounting to multiple millions, cementing it as a lucrative endeavor. 3 days later, the BMW M5 resurfaces at a gas station, not for another robbery, but to refuel, this time paying for the gasoline. This seemingly routine act gains significance as it marks the genesis of the gang's moniker, the SCARFACE Gang. Several members, captured on surveillance cameras, are observed donning extravagant attire, with one member emulating Tony Montana from the film Scarface in meticulous detail, right down to the clothing, accessories, and even a wig styled after the character. This gas station encounter represents one of the final sightings of the BMW M5, as its use in multiple high-profile crimes has made it too conspicuous. On April 18th, the gang disposes of the vehicle, parking it beneath a highway overpass and setting it ablaze with gasoline, marking the end of its role in their criminal exploits. But if you think that's the end of the SCARFACE Gang too, you are very wrong. In the ensuing week, the SCARFACE Gang embarked on yet another audacious robbery, this time targeting the Loomis Money Transport Company in France, yielding a substantial loot of $2 million. Employing their signature method from the secure cash heist, they breached the facility using heavy explosives, swiftly seizing the cash within. However, this heist served merely as a prelude to their next endeavor, which would elevate them to unimaginable heights. Fast forward to June 29, 2019, in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, a day marred by inclement weather forecasts, prompting widespread car commutes and traffic congestion. Unbeknownst to commuters, earlier events had unfolded that would exacerbate their journey. A significant incident prompting a police investigation and the closure of an entire highway. Meanwhile, nestled in a secluded area of Amsterdam, lay the heavily fortified Brinks Money Transport Company, a fortress guarded by heavy gates, armored doors, and extensive surveillance. Undeterred by these formidable defenses, the Scarface Gang, determined as ever, set their sights on Brinks. Under the cover of darkness, a convoy of vehicles, including a black and dark grey Audi, approached the Brinks parking lot. While some members converged on the building, others strategically positioned themselves along surrounding roads. With precision and stealth, the intruders breached the compound, cutting through the fence and infiltrating the premises. However, as tension mounted, they abruptly retreated, leaving onlookers perplexed. It soon became apparent why they had withdrawn, as a colossal explosion rocked the area, blasting through the armored doors of the Brinks building. An enormous explosion ensues, blowing out the entire armored door of the building. Following the explosion, which obliterated the armored door of the Brinks building, panic ensued among the employees who swiftly called the authorities while seeking refuge in an office for safety. Within minutes, the robbers filled large bags with cash as police responded urgently to the emergency call, dispatching numerous officers to the scene. However, the responding officers encountered unexpected obstacles. The individuals who had earlier positioned themselves along the surrounding roads had laid out spike strips, intended to incapacitate any police vehicles approaching the building. Shockingly, similar measures were discovered at the nearest police station, implemented hours before the heist, further delaying law enforcement's response to the Brinks robbery. Despite the challenges, the gang managed to load the heavy bags of cash into their Audis. As they attempted to flee, they encountered police cars, sparking a shootout and intensifying the already chaotic situation. While one Audi evaded capture and disappeared from sight, the other Audi pushed its limits, reaching speeds of 240 kilometers per hour as it attempted to outpace the pursuing police vehicles. Recognizing the adverse weather conditions, which prohibited helicopter assistance, the robbers exploited this advantage, knowing that they wouldn't be pursued from the air. They purposefully waited on a day with such bad weather conditions and heavy winds because it eliminated the chance of being followed by a helicopter. That is how well they planned this heist. What the Scarface Gang hadn't anticipated was a crash. The driver, pushing the limits of speed, lost control, resulting in a collision on the highway. Suddenly faced with dire circumstances, they found themselves in need of assistance. 3 unsuspecting individuals offered their help, only to be met with the menacing presence of automatic rifles as the robbers emerged from their car. In a desperate move, the robbers commandeered the helpful men's car, a Hyundai i10, before the Audi erupted in flames, engulfing the millions in stolen cash. One of the robbers, injured from the crash, required assistance to enter the Hyundai. With the Audi reduced to ashes, they sped off in the Hyundai, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Despite their efforts to evade capture, a police car caught up with them. Displaying their readiness to resort to violence, one of the robbers aimed his automatic rifle at the pursuing police car, compelling it to retreat out of fear for their lives. After this encounter, the Hyundai vanished without a trace, marking the conclusion of the Scarface Gang's criminal exploits. This was the tale of the Scarface Gang, perpetrators of over 40 lesser crimes and 8 highly violent heists. From humble beginnings with minimal loot, they escalated to daring robberies that netted them millions in cash. While some members were apprehended, others vanished into obscurity. One member was rumored to have perished during the Amsterdam heist, further adding to the gang's mystique. Despite their brief but lucrative reign, with earnings exceeding $15 million in less than a year, the Scarface Gang faded into obscurity after 2011. Their story becoming a distant memory in the annals of criminal history.